Hello, my name is Maya Fain, and for my midterm, I did my movie worksheet on the African Americans in TV color readjustment. For this movie, they talked about, for the first 20 minutes, they talked about the American dream. Now, back in these days, which was around in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, the American dream predominantly mean white families. So they meant having a white mother, having a white father, and having just a predominantly white life with a house, a white picket fence, the dog, the cat, everything, and etc. But this all changed after they seen a black family do the same thing. So, after seeing how a black family can do the same thing, this happened in TV shows. A TV show that was known for having the same white American dream, except having a black family, was the Cosby Shows. Now, Bill Cosby had a black family and had a black TV show, and this struck the black communities in the black neighborhoods because this has never been done before, and we are finally being represented. But it did not all go peachy keen as people would think it would go. Not everything was about celebrating and having fun with being represented in your own community on TV shows and movies. People would come at these actors if they're not full on black, if they were mixed with white, anything to pick at, people would pick. This was happening in the TV shows. There was also a TV show called Roots. This was a TV show about slavery. People who watch Roots know that it was really got into the really grisly, detailed, exclusive things about slavery that people didn't really know. After talking about this got most non-black people talking about what really happened in slavery and why we don't talk about it today in our history. In the film industry, people would call these actors who are of mixed race Oreo or Cookie. This simply took over the African American in TV readjustment color movie for over 40 minutes. After this, people talked about Nat King Cole. Nat King Cole is a musician and back in the old days that people would listen to and also were very inspired to in the film and music industry. People saw this man as elegant, and they were very impacted in their own daily lives about how one of their own was actually being adored by all these people in the world. They also expressed their thoughts about how predominantly black neighborhoods and communities were not represented in the film industry, and we're not even having anything they can go off to so people know who we are and where we come from. In my opinion of this documentary and what I thought was missing from telling our history and telling what really happened in our documentary and like how we present things to people was that they could have added maybe more activists inside the documentary. And I know there are a lot of activist documentaries, and we don't need any more, and that doing one about the film industry is different. But it would have been more impactful if they added just maybe one activist that maybe supportive music arts, just to show it from a politician's side or perspective. Because most people aren't really into music, so of course they're not going to get it clicked right away in their head that, oh wow, I actually get where this is coming from. I wonder why people would think like that. This is how I thought, now I think about how this is now. So I was really connecting the dots in my head when I was watching in this documentary when mixed races, white people, black people, watching the show called Roots, and their faces after seeing how a slave's mother and father were separated from each other, and how you could see the pure sadness and fear on this African American's child, her face in the movie, and how you could see on a white child's face how it was pure shock. Why would they do that, Mom? Asking questions, asking anything to just get a little bit of context on why these things would happen anyways. I am sorry about that. I live on campus. But more so about this movie that we watched, they also talked about national awards at the end of where black people starred in, or whether they acted in or not. They also added in an actor that I've seen in movies I've watched before, and I was glad to get her perspective because I did not know she even had opinion or even talked about this. So I'm glad I got to explore my horizons and see her point or perspective, because I keep forgetting that she was old enough and she lived through this. So of course she'd have a very good perspective on how everything was seen back in those days. So more major points in this documentary was how people wanted to shed a light on how the community was reacting to seeing our own on television screens, because it wasn't always congratulations and celebrating. People actually weren't accepting people of mixed races to even being seen as black actors or African American actors that starred in these movies, or outraged that they weren't properly represented in these movies on how the streets were or the hood. Just a bunch of stereotypes. Going along with stereotypes, they also talked about how black fathers are conveniently killed off or in the military, or they were never around, and how single black mothers are stereotypically strong enough to take care of their own children without having another significant other to support them. These are all stereotypes that were in TV shows back then, and then how people were being represented. And my question for this was, how black moms, how did they feel? Did they feel that they were being that they're embarrassment, or did they feel represented, or maybe even felt heard? I wouldn't know, but I feel like that was also something that the documentary could have incorporated into the information of where they got their resources. And with resources come from stories from people's heads. Most of the interviews were from people who were acting back then who actually lived through those experiences, so that was also cool to see. But overall, in this documentary, I felt that it was well directed and written, and everything came in its own time. Thank you.